Well, it certainly was a week, so let's talk about it. Cheers! Welcome back, everybody, to me doing the weekly navel-gazing, where I talk about all the books I read last week and all the books I plan to read this week, and, of course, all the videos I didn't make last week and all the videos I made and, general stuff. And, as always, let's get started with books. Alright, so I did, in fact, read Like a Fiery Meteor, a life of, the biography in this case, of Joseph F. Smith, who was president of the LDS Church from 1901 until 1918, and I finished that book. It is by Stephen Tyson, I guess? I don't know. Names and stuff. And then I did read, in fact, The September 6 and the Struggle for the Soul of Mormonism by Sarah M. Patterson. And, I did reread Wrestling the Angel, The Foundations of Mormon Belief, or whatever, Mormon Faith? Whatever it's called. It's a theology book by Terrell L. Gibbons. I finished that reread as well. And then I did, of course, read one fiction book, and it was The Siege of Burning Grass by Preetney Mohammed, and it's really, really good. You will be hearing about this very soon, I guess. And I am reading Feeding the Flock, which is the second part to Wrestling the Angel, once again by Terrell L. Gibbons, and it focuses on church history, not history, but church structure and so forth. Of the LDS Church. That will probably be the final Mormonism book that I'll read. Who knows? So that's what I'm currently reading and have been reading. What will I be reading this week, you may ask? Well, I guess I'll definitely finish Feeding the Flock, and at that point I have no excuse and I will start reading Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Beyond that, there are other books that I might pick up this week. There is a collection of David Graeber essays coming out tomorrow, and I'm very much excited to read that, so that'll probably be something I'll read very quickly. I have a history of Palo Alto that I want to read by Malcolm Harris, and of course there is always, more fiction out there that I could probably read very soon. I mean, what with the whole Mormonism thing kind of coming to an end, I guess I'm somewhat at loose ends and just need to figure out what to do next. Who knows? So, let's talk about videos. I did make one. Only one. That is, of course, the video for Wild Faith by Talia Levin. I did really well. Interestingly enough, I was a bit surprised, but, I wanted to try the idea of talking about non-fiction books some more, so I did, and it worked. Obviously, the timing for a book on the Christian right taking over America was, the timing was very, very good there, I guess, or bad, depending on your views, right? So that happened, and, I did not make a video on The Siege of Burning Grass yet, because while I planned to do that yesterday, I ended up going to a concert, and, it was an afternoon concert, and then afterwards I came home at, shortly before midnight, so yeah, no video was done yesterday. This will happen very soon. I did, however, do productivity and writing sprints every single morning, weekday morning last week, so that's something really cool, and I did one this morning as well, so not exactly videos, but I was on a screen for sure. So that happened as well, and they have worked out really well for me so far. So that's nice, and we'll talk about that in a moment again. But what videos do I plan to make this week? Well, I already said I'll make one on The Siege of Burning Grass by Preetney Mohammed, because it's a really good book. You should read it. And I'll do that. And I'm working on the Mormonism video. I did in fact already record the first part of the video. So the introductory material, I guess. Will I keep it or will I re-record it later? I don't know, but I'll definitely continue recording bits and pieces for the Mormonism video this week. Maybe this will all be done in 1 week, or it'll take a bit longer. I don't know yet, but I'll certainly keep chipping away at it. So with any luck, you might, in fact, get 2 videos, one on The Siege of Burning Grass, and possibly the Mormonism video, if, I managed to get this whole thing recorded in 1 week. We'll see. But beyond that, yes, there will also be more of these sprints, productivity and writing sprints. The interesting thing there is I need to figure out what software to use for streaming. Right now I'm using StreamYard, which I don't necessarily like. And there you have a limit of 20 hours for free. Afterward, you need to pay. So I need to figure out whether I can A, pay or want to pay them, which I don't. I kind of dislike the way they present their service and so forth, so I'd rather not pay them for it. It is, however, obviously very, very easy to use, which is important for someone like me, because, you know, live streaming is not necessarily something that is made for blind people. I tried using OBS or tried figuring out how to use OBS in the past. Yeah, that's very, very difficult. Maybe I'll find a way of getting it, you know, sorted at some point, and then I can just like switch to OBS. Maybe that's an option, or I'll have to figure out something else for live streaming. I would obviously prefer to use OBS because it's, you know, just better in a lot of ways, gives me more control and all of that stuff. But, you know, I already said that. It's kind of difficult getting that stuff figured out on my own. Obviously, I can always ask friends to help me set up OBS and stuff like that, but then I'd still have to, you know, figure out what to do and how to do. And I don't know. We'll find out. If you have any other ideas of like good streaming services that I can use for free or that are not as much of a, well, a kind of dodgy business as StreamYard, then let me know in the comments. I'd very much be interested in that. But beyond that, yes, it has been fun doing these sprints in the morning. Well, not necessarily fun, but I've certainly gotten stuff done, which is kind of the goal. The way I came up with this was mostly that I do, in fact, you know, I usually get up early and then I hang around, do nothing, just watch YouTube and so forth until I go to the gym. And I realize that maybe if I, you know, force myself to actually be productive in those first 2 hours of the day for me, that may help me. Maybe it helps other people as well, getting off, you know, their asses and getting stuff done. I know the time is a bit weird. It's 8 a.m. in Germany, so most people in Europe watching me are probably working. Usually watching me are probably working, but then, you know, there's students and other people that don't have to work in the morning who may profit from that. And then, of course, there's people on the other side of the globe for whom that is like, you know, evening, night, or whatever. So a chance for people from Australia to hang out with me in the morning as well. So maybe that's good. So I'm definitely continuing those. I did also really do some writing. It's shocking, I know, right? I did, in fact, start writing something that may turn out to be fiction. We will find out. It has already, you know, grown to the, well, not very considerable length of 1,500 words. But then again, you know, it's 1,500 words I wrote in like 3 sessions of like 45 minutes. So that's not too bad for, you know, the first writing I've done in years. So, you know, well, first writing in English I've ever done that, you know, was longer than just like a, I don't know, press blurb for like a record or something. So that's an interesting experience for me in that regard. Will something come of this? Who knows? We will find out in the next couple of weeks, I guess, and I'll certainly keep you updated with what this turns into. But beyond that, yes, I have enjoyed the streams, the sprints very much, and they will continue this week, except for Friday, because I can't do them on Friday. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, so no sprints there. But yeah, so that's something that I've been doing. And I'm, you know, as I said, I'm trying to sort of figure out what is happening during winter, and that's sort of where I am at the moment, right? It is very clearly no longer summer. Festival season is over. I am spending more time at home. I'm trying to, you know, get stuff sorted, structured, and so forth. And part of that is currently these sprints. Will they continue forever? I don't know. We don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'll be doing in a month or 2 months or whatever, right? If I suddenly have a job, an actual job, you know, that forces me to get out of bed in the morning and work from somewhere else, then obviously I'll stop doing them. But until then, I figured, you know, can't hurt doing it. And maybe it will help me, you know, get stuff fast-tracked, like get more... I mean, I've been writing sort of like scripts, or not scripts, but like putting down bullet points and stuff for the Mormonism video while during these sprints as well. So there's, you know, there is a chance that it will make me a better content creator, or a faster, a more efficient content creator as well. And then, you know, then you get more videos, which I guess is also good. who knows? It's all, difficult. So yeah, that's currently what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, the other part is, now that the Mormonism video is slowly happening, as I said, I've recorded the introduction. I think it's a good one. But then again, I mean, I can't, and this is part of me in general, like, also a huge problem when I had to write, like, term papers for university or whatever, is like, I can't write out of sequence, right? I can't record out of sequence either, so I cannot just record the part on the current LDS church now and then record a part on Joseph Smith afterward or whatever, and I have to start at the beginning and end at the end, even though I record several parts. The problem with that is, of course, that during this project the focus might shift in a way that will require me to re-record the introduction once I'm done with the whole video. We'll find out, I guess. The most important part for me was to actually finally get started, and I was already worried that I had missed that part, because the way things usually work for me is I get incredibly excited about a project, and I dig in, and then I dig in, and I dig in, and then I get scared to actually do the thing, start the process, start writing. Committing is the problem that I have, right? So I usually just keep researching, and those of you who have religiously followed my pronouncements on this know that I have been talking about this video for a while now, and I started reading Mormonism books a while ago, and I've made a list of, like, the books that I'm definitely going to use that I think are important here, and I would put down in the list, the bibliography for the video. That's like 16 books at this point, right? Which is a lot. And some of them are massive books, don't get me wrong, right? So I did a lot of research, and I was kind of scared that I may have reached the point where the fear of starting is so big that I can't just get started. But now the first thing has been done. I hope that the rest will be easier, and I can just, record a video part on, Joseph Smith and the early years of the Mormon movement tomorrow, maybe, and continue from there. So that's certainly something. And the question is, like, what will I do after that, right? I mean, the idea is, of course, to do the Mormonism video, then do videos for each of the Sanderson novels that I plan to read, and after that, make that other Sanderson video that I wanted to make last year, 2 years ago. Oh God, yeah, that one. The one that forced me to read all this stuff on parasociality and fandom studies and so forth, where I talk about Brandon Sanderson's culture industry. That's still coming. That's sort of like what will end the Sanderson arc, I guess. And then, what will I do next? Will I finally get back to actually finishing the conspiracy video that I've talked about way too much and read too much about? Will I be able to actually get that shit done? Hopefully, maybe, who knows? But that has, my brain has moved on from that, so I will have to rekindle my interest in this subject, then ideally, I guess, in January or whatever. I don't know how that'll work. We will see. But, these are sort of like projects that I'm looking at. The other part, of course, is that I did put a poll on my community tab, and that poll is about possible alternatives to Drizzt Mass, because yes, the end of the year is coming closer. Some people have asked me when I will start reading more Drizzt novels, and I figured I'll just ask you guys whether you think I should do something similar to Drizzt Mass, like one video per day, ideally during the 12 or 13 days of Christmas, or whatever you want to call it, in December. And most of you say yes, I should. And the next question is, of course, what should I read? Because I mean, I don't necessarily want to read more Drizzt books. I'm not sure if there's more to be said about them. I think I've mostly explored all the issues, and I don't think after 13 books they haven't changed. I doubt they will ever change in the remaining 26 that are still out there that I haven't read. So I was asking for suggestions, and some of you have given me suggestions of what to read instead, and I've also, pointed out one or two that may exist. So the point here is, what I'm looking for is shorter books, shorter books in that I can read them quickly and talk about them quickly, the way I could with, like, the Drizzt novels, which are 12, somewhere between 10 and 13 hours per audiobook, which, if I listen at double speed, can be done in one day. Something of that length is probably the best to do there. So no Wheel of Time again. Those are too long to do this kind of video, right? The other part is it should be something different from what I usually read, or something, yeah, there should be some sort of thematic kind of thing there. And what I'm looking for is something that may have interesting things to teach us. It doesn't have to be all terrible and painful or whatever. I'm willing to, give praise where praise is there, but it should be something where we can learn something throughout these 13 or 12 or whatever nights we want to use this, right? So that's the idea. And some interesting books were recommended there. Some of them I have already read, so that's a different problem there. I mentioned that there are, of course, the Anne McCaffrey Dragon Riders of Pern series that I haven't actually read. Then another option was to read Karl May, which is one of the best-selling German authors, or used to be in the 19th century, who wrote westerns, really bad westerns, and books set in what you might call, it's the Middle East and Near East, that era. They are all really, they have not necessarily aged well, which you can expect from books written in the 1850s, 60s, 70s, or whatever, about these kind of places. But they have had a huge impact on, like, at least older generations in Germany. Like, everyone read these books, not everyone, but a lot of people. It's like, I read a lot of them as a kid, which were all copies that I basically got from my father or grandfather, or grandfathers in this case, because they were a staple in German households for a long time. In fact, the guy was Adolf Hitler's favorite author, which is also really interesting. I think Behind the Bastards have done an episode on Karl May, so that's something. And that would be an interesting choice, I guess, for an author to talk about, because there is lots to learn about, both in how 19th century Germans thought about places that were technically the Ottoman Empire at the time, or places that are, the West in America. So there is something to be learned there, I think. And it might be something that is difficult to something that an international audience may not be aware of. So I think that might be one option of doing this. I guess there are English translations of these books. I'm pretty sure there are. So that would be something interesting. The other part is Joe Byrne and someone else recommended Perry Rhodan. And that's an interesting option as well. I don't know anything about Perry Rhodan. I know they exist. I know some people who have read more than one of those books. There are endless masses of them. And they're like a very specifically German phenomenon. So that would be another thing that we could talk about. But there I would have to figure out which books to read, and once again, I have no idea how many of those exist in English, and in case some of you want to sort of read at least one of these books as well, having something that is available in at least one sort of like international language would be helpful. So that's another option there. And I guess what I'll do is if you have other suggestions, just put them down in the comments. And during this week, at some point, I'll put up another poll where we can all figure out which books these will be, or I can at least gauge your interest in these different books. So that's something that I'll do later this week as well. And then obviously we'll find out what happens in next year once we reach next year. And right now, I'm slightly hopeful that things might not be as bad as they seem sometimes, and I'm definitely happy with the way the channel is currently going. So that's a nice thing, right? That's that. I managed to not talk about politics, which is good, I guess. And I guess one final sort of question. I will be doing, obviously, a live stream in November and December as well, I guess. And for that one, I would probably invite another guest, because I've tried to alternate like guestless and guest live streams. And the questions there, who would you like to see? Let me know whom I could, should maybe reach out to and ask a message, and maybe they want to come on or not. Just once again looking for like your input there, because you have to watch this shit, right? So you might as well tell me what you want to watch, right? Anyway, this was a bit rambly. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for hanging out in the sprints in the morning. I do really, really appreciate that a lot. Thanks for, doing all the things you do. I hope you have a good week. I hope you did something nice last week despite all the political stuff. And I hope you read good books. Let me know what you read. Tell me what you plan to read. There's comments down there. I mean, there should be comments down there. I still can't really reply on comments on my browser, so I have to do this on my phone, which sucks, but I'm trying to get better at it. So maybe I'll be more responsive in the near future again. So yeah, I don't know. Let's have a conversation and let's enjoy life for once, shall we? So thanks and cheers.